Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, I'm going to talk about pragmatics in sociolinguistics. This is topic really interesting because it helps us understand how people actually use language in real life, not just in textbooks. We will see that meaning is not only about words, but also about situations and social relationships. Before we go deeper, let's start with the basic idea of pragmatics. Nah, what is pragmatics? Pragmatics is study of meaning in context. So, instead of focusing only on dictionary meanings, pragmatics looks at what speakers really mean and how listeners understand it. For example, when someone says, "It is cold in here," they might not just be stating a fact. They could be asking someone to close the windows or turn off the air conditioners. In daily life, we often understand meanings like this without even thinking about it. That's exactly what pragmatics tries to explain. Now that we understand pragmatics, let's look at another field that is closely connected to it, which is sociolinguistics. Sociolinguistics Sociolinguistics is the study of language and society. It focuses on how people speak differently depending on social factors. These factors include age, social status, education, culture, and also whether the situation is formal or informal. For example, the way you talk to your friends is usually very different from the way you talk to your teacher or your boss, right? Sociolinguistics help us understand why those differences happen. So, if pragmatics is about meaning and sociolinguistics is about society, what happens when we combine them? Pragmatics in sociolinguistics looks at how meaning is shaped by social context. In other words, it explains how the same sentence can have different meanings depending on who say it, who hears it, and in what situation. For example, saying "you're late" can sound like a simple statement, a joke, or even a complaint. The meaning depends on the relationship between the speaker and the listeners. To understand how meaning change like this, we first need to talk about context. So, context is one of the most important ideas in pragmatics. Context includes who is speaking, who is listening, where and when the conversation happens, and what kind of relationship they have. For example, when a teacher say, "Can you be quiet?" in class, it sounds like a polite request but also a clear instruction, right? But if a student says the same thing to a teacher, if it might sound rude. Besides context in general, there are also specific words that only make sense when we know the context. This is deixis. Deixis refers to words whose meanings depend on the situations. Common examples are words like I, you, here, there, no, and today. When someone says, "I'm here now," or when someone says, "I will meet you here tomorrow," we can only understand if we know who is speaking, where here is, and what they refers to. Next, let's talk about how speaking is not just saying words, but also doing actions. In pragmatics, every time we speak, we are actually doing something. This idea is called speech acts. For example, when we say I'm sorry, we are apologizing. When we say please open the door, we are making a request. So, language is not just for sharing information, but also for asking, ordering, promising, and thanking. However, when we perform these actions through language, we usually care about how polite we sound. Next is politeness. Politeness is about using language in a way that respect others and keep good social relationships. People usually speak more politely to someone older, someone with higher status, or in a formal situation. For example, saying close the door sounds very direct, while saying could you please close the door? It sounds more polite. Both sentences have the same purpose, but the second one is socially safer. Sometimes, though, people don't say exactly what they mean. And this brings us to the next concept is implicator. Implicator is the hidden or implied meaning behind an utterance. The speaker does not the meaning directly, but the listener can understand it from of the context. For example, if someone gives us presentation and the implied meaning might be that the presentation itself was not very good. All of these meanings are closely connected to social factors. Nah, social factors affecting meaning. Social factors such as age, status, culture, and situation strongly affect meaning. A sentence like "it first" can sound like an order, a suggestion, or a caring reminder depending on who says it and to whom. This shows that meaning is not fixed, it changes based on social relationships. So, after understanding all these concepts, you might wonder why this topic is important. Understanding pragmatics and sociolinguistics help us communicative more effectively. It helps us avoid misunderstandings, especially when we talk to people from different backgrounds. This is very important in daily life, education, and especially in online communication and social media, where messages are often misunderstood. Finally, let's summarize what we have discussed. Uh, to conclude, pragmatics in social linguistics show us that language is deeply connected to context and society. Meaning is not just about grammar and vocabulary, but also about how, when, and whom we speak. So, that's all from me. Thank you.